Happy Sunday and welcome everyone to episode 48 of Video Game Club. As always, I am your host Tyler, and I have with me today a Psychonaut in training, Austin.
Hello.
Hello. And it would not be a Video Game Club episode without someone who just discovered her psychic abilities, Mox.
Oh, I'm sad that Austin only gets to be a Psychonaut in training.
Well, you know, he's also
I'm
discovering
dumb,
his abilities.
so.
Oh my gosh.
And from across the pond, we have a special guest, Jerome. Hello, Jerome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, Jerome.
I don't get a special title.
No, I guess. Well, we usually do the from the deepest, darkest depths of the internet as a special title, and then that kind of got reserved for Chris. But
Fair enough.
You can have it the second time you come on.
exactly.
I'm not
Exactly.
judging. It's okay.
Jerome, can you please tell us, like, what kind of games are you into, and what's one of your favorite games, so people can kind of be like, oh, I also like games like Jerome.
I'm pretty versatile. I would say, rather than what I play, what I don't play is mainly sports games, racing games. That's not really my cup of tea. But aside from that, I'm big on indies, role playing, roguelikes, that sort of thing. I think one of the defining games that I've had in my gaming history would have been Metal Gear Solid, probably.
Oh,
That's
good
that's
choice.
one of those things I remember playing as a 13-year-old or something, and thinking, "Wow, you can do more than collect coins and jump on platforms as a game." And I remember thinking very specifically, "This feels like so mature. This must be
Yeah.
for adults." And then they kind of clicked the light bulb, thinking that, adults must be playing games too. This is awesome. I'll be playing games all my life.
Aw.
That was very,
kinda
very wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, how is everyone doing? Mox, what have you been playing besides Psychonauts?
Not Psychonauts. I got Room
Mhm.
Factory 5 after just exhausting everything in Room Factory 4, so that's what I've been doing.
Wow, I thought you weren't going to pick it up for a while. Well, I guess you
No.
didn't for a bit.
I need it in my life.
Okay, how much have you played of it?
Not enough. It starts up a lot. It's like hard to go around because of the 3D. I'm used to kind of just zipping around in the 2D.
Mhm.
So it's very slow compared to the other game where it's like, okay, I can get all my chores done, but like in an hour, and then I
Mhm.
have the rest of the day. But now it's like, oh my God, I have to walk all the way over there. It takes forever. But I
Is
just
there
love the art.
is there some form of like transportation that you get, like a horse or something?
I don't know yet, but you can teleport.
Right.
And you don't have to go up to a little teleporting machine, which is clutch. I love it.
Nice. Austin, what have you been playing besides Psychonauts?
I was playing Heavy Rain, and that was making me feel really awful every time that I booted it up. So
love
I
that
stopped
game.
playing Heavy Rain.
What?
Yeah. I've been playing some Horizon Zero Dawn, and speaking of fast travel systems, that fast travel system is terrible. But you have to buy an item that gets consumed on use every time that you
Or
want
craft
to
it.
fast travel. Like, damn. Yeah, or craft it. But what I've been playing and really enjoying is Rogue Legacy 2. Andron picked that up for me for my birthday, and it finally left early access, and yeah, it's been very fun. I just finished the first boss today by farting on him.
That's awesome. Jerome,
Yeah.
what have you been playing past 2 weeks?
I have been playing an obscene amount of Elden Ring, which for me is very interesting because I'm neither into open worlds, neither into Souls game, and also very rarely pick up games on release.
Yeah.
I think the last time I played anything within a week of release was Witcher 3. So,
Oh,
I don't really
wow.
know why I picked it up, but I'm really glad I did because it's very enjoyable. It's a very, very rewarding gaming experience. Love it.
What is
And
what boss are you on?
I don't know. I'm really not following anything. I'm just essentially roaming, and that's the best part of it that I'm enjoying the most. It's just the discovery. I'm gonna go north, and then it's 50 hours later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And aside from that, I've been randomly playing the Gears of War 4 campaign because I've never really been much of a Microsoft player, and since I got the Xbox, I've essentially been through the whole catalog. So I'm now on the fourth Gears of War the last 2 years, and it's a bit of a love-hate relationship.
Well, Gears 5 is supposed to be really good, so you're
Yeah,
close.
I'll get to it. I gotta say, 2 and 3 were definitely a chore. I finished them, and I hated both of them.
Oh, no.
So I don't know why I'm playing forward, but it's kind of brainless fun. At the end of the day, it's like, oh, pew pew, whatever.
Yeah. I picked up Ghostwire Tokyo. It's on sale, and I'm having a really, really good time with that game. It's the thing I like about it the most is that it does a very good job of educating you on Japanese culture, and it reminds me a lot of I was talking with Austin about this the other day. Like, if you have, you want to be like a tourist and go to Japan, there's like a handful of games you can play, right? You have like the Yakuza series that all takes place in Japan, different timelines, right? And some different cities, but mainly Tokyo and some other places. And then you have the Persona series, right? And you can kind of explore and you get like that feeling too. And then I feel like this game is also like, oh, you want to educate yourself on, traditional Japanese food, yokai, all kinds of like stuff. And it's really
cool.
Yeah. I really think you'd like it, Mox. I know you're not a big horror person. It's not, I'm also not a big horror person. I was telling Austin this whenever I was trying to convince him to pick it up. I'm also not a big horror person, but this is more of like a supernatural kind of, it's more of just like kind of like an eerie feeling. It's less of like, oh no, I'm scared. It's more of like, ooh, what is this thing? And like, why does it look weird? And what's going on? And what's the history
more
behind
supernatural than horror then.
Exactly. Yeah, check it out. Now, before we get started, just as a reminder, this is Video Game Club, where every 2 weeks we discuss a game voted on by our wonderful friends in the Bombchu Discord and discuss that game right here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. And if you can't catch us live, don't worry. You can find us on YouTube and all major podcast services. Just search Bombchu Video Game Club. I'm sure that you will find it. And if you do appreciate what you are hearing, please consider subscribing, rating, commenting, all those things. Personally, I really love reading all the comments that we get on YouTube. And if you have suggestions for games that you want us to check out, definitely join the Discord or leave a comment on YouTube. I think, one of the games that was in this list of nominations was one or two of them came from our community of recommendations.
It was
two. So as a reminder, the nominations for this episode were Psychonauts, which was recommended by someone in the community, Tunic, and Jet Set Radio, and Psychonauts 1. So we're going to talk about Psychonauts. It's a 3D platformer developed by Double Fine Productions. Double Fine, if you don't know, they're based in San Francisco. They were acquired by Xbox Game Studios in 2019. They were founded by the amazing Tim Schafer. He's famous for LucasArts and making all of them adventure games that all them people like. Psychonauts was their very first game, and funny enough, their most recent game is Psychonauts 2. So they haven't announced anything else yet. Kind of funny. They made games like Brutal Legend, Costume Quest, Broken Age, and many others. I haven't played many Double Fine games. Austin, have you played many of them?
I played through Brutal Legend. For a bit, they were also like doing a little bit of publishing without developing.
Correct.
There's a game that I played called Escapegoat.
Yep.
Where the studio just kind of found themselves working in Double Fine's offices by accident. It's a weird story, but that was a cool game that they happened to publish.
Nice. Jerome, are you like a big Double Fine fan? Do you play their games typically?
I think I've played quite a few, but to be honest, I don't know which ones were Double Fine versus which ones were like Tim Schafer. So I played all of the classics that he did from LucasArts and all, but I played Broken Age, which I really enjoyed. I've played Brutal Legend, which I surprisingly did not enjoy since I'm very much a target audience for that, but
yeah, I also did not enjoy that one.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the awesome soundtrack, the gameplay was just...
it's a great soundtrack.
Meh.
Oh my god.
But beyond that, like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think Broken Age is the main one that comes to mind, and I actually thought that was really thoughtful. It was a very interesting game, yeah.
Yeah, I played the beginning of it. I thought it was really nice. Mox, how about you? Are you a big Double Fine
No, but I kept
No.
meaning to play Broken Age, and they did the remaster of Grim Fandango.
They did.
Yeah.
Really like.
Yeah, I played that as well. It was great.
Yeah. Mox, you would really like Broken Age, I think.
I think it was like a PS Plus game at some point.
It was.
Yeah.
That's how I played it.
Perfect.
You should
I
check it
mean-
out. Psychonauts was also published by Majesco Entertainment. They're based in New Jersey. They've been around since 1986. But they
Wow.
did cease all video game operations in December 2016. They published games like from the franchises like Cooking Mama, Blood Rain, and some of the Bomberman games that were on the GBA and GameCube.
Don't forget Advent Rising.
Advent Rising, yes. And
Someday we'll play it for Game Club.
Mhm.
and Psychonauts is the game that kind of killed them for the major, big AAA video game publishing. But we'll dive a little bit into that later. The game was released initially April 19th, 2005 for Windows and Xbox, and it came later to PS2 June 22nd of the same year. It's developed using some sort of in-house engine. 2005, we had the Xbox 360 came out. The PSP was finally released outside of Japan.
Wow.
Game Boy Micro came out.
Who bought that?
Not me,
Wow.
but it
No.
did look cool. Did you buy one, Austin? It seems like a thing you would have bought.
I was waiting for
I
you to chime
almost
in.
bought the Famicom one because it looked really cool, but I did not.
Yeah. Did you have Jerome? Did you have a PSP growing up?
I had a PSP. I bought it, I think 2006, something like that, 2007. I remember I did a trip to Singapore, and Singapore at the time at least was really known for cheap electronics. So I bought a PSP there, and I bought
Dang.
it.
The memory card, you could actually get a memory card for an
I-
affordable price.
I didn't. I bought it with. I think what I wanted was like the new Metal Gear Solid game, but instead I ended up getting Tales of Eternia, I think.
Mm.
So, great console.
Yeah, I loved PSP. I used it for everything. Like for me, it was like I remember going.
Media player.
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
going to Best
Movies,
Buy.
music.
Yeah, and I was with my parents, and they were like, "Okay, you can get it was like a birthday or Christmas or some sort of like a thing where I was picking out a gift, and I was either going to get like a iPod or like some sort of MP3 player, or I could get PSP." And I got the PSP, and like I used it for like MP3s, I used it for videos, I used it for games. Like it had a web browser on it too, like everything you could possibly want. It was so
Did you have
wonderful.
any UMDs that you watched on it?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Really? You
Yeah.
bought movies for it? Wow.
oh yeah. They
Then I
were
learned how to convert them myself, and
same.
I stopped buying them.
Same. They were like, they got to be where they were really cheap, at least in Missouri they
Yeah.
were, where I was living at the
I've
time.
only seen them secondhand, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Because you also had
at some
one,
point
right,
you could
Austin?
go into. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
At some point, you could go into GameStop, and like they would always be. They had been such a commercial failure that all the UMDs started going on sale for like $5 or less,
Yeah, that's
which is crazy.
some games that were released in 2005, Resident Evil 4, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, Guitar Hero, Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, and many others, and no games that we have played for Video Game Club so far. This is the first.
Minish Cap should be there. Minish Cap.
Oh, Minish Cap is great.
Someday.
One day. Okay, so how did it review? Well, it was mostly positive. People really like the writing, the uniqueness, the
What?
dynamic. What were you saying, Mox?
I'm incredulous.
Oh.
It's
Remember, it's
incredulosity.
2005.
This is
so the writing
2005. Yeah.
For 2005 was pretty good.
It had some dynamic conversations. Like if you go do a quest and you come back to NPCs, they'll have like different things to say. People really like the level design, the art. Some of the things that people did not like was that the tutorial lasted hours, and that the last level is unexpectedly difficult considered to like the rest of the game, and that the game was quite buggy. Which I'm really interested to hear how the PC experience was. Specifically, Austin, I know you had some issues whenever we get there.
Oh yeah.
The game was kind of a commercial failure upon release. Like 2005, they said it shipped fewer than 100,000 copies. Since it did so poorly, Majesco stated that it was done publishing big budget console games. March 2012. So keep in mind, this is like 7 years later. they announced that it sold 400,000 copies, and then 2015 they announced that it sold 1.7 million copies.
What?
It's quite a jump, right? And the only thing that I can think of is that Double Fine got the rights to publish it on more storefronts, and so they were able to distribute it, I think, a lot. I don't know. Maybe they put it on, but they were able to put it on multiple stores, and that helped. Who knows? But
people were starting to kind of campaign for a Psychonauts 2. It was kind of becoming more known on the internet, and PC gaming was on the rise. And especially with it going on sale on Steam for super cheap, all the time. Just before we started doing this, it went on sale for $1.
That's
on
true.
Steam, right? So I'm sure that helped a lot as well.
Yeah.
Would it be as well that Tim Schafer kind of became one of those, superstar game developers, which at the time you didn't really have many. Even nowadays, there's only a handful you can really name by name, Kojima and Tim Schafer are the two that comes to my mind, at least, for example. So he kind of became a namesake. So maybe the game followed.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Could definitely see that. All right, it's time to get into our discussion. We're going to start with just talking about the gameplay. So I already mentioned before, it's a platformer, and it has some adventure elements in it, which got me stuck on occasion. I had to reach out to Austin for some tips because he finished the game before me. It has the whole item stuff where you take certain items to certain people, and it'll interact or do things depending on the level and what's kind of going on. But then there's also some oh, I'm stuck. Oh, it turns out this chair is against the door or whatever, and I need to solve this puzzle that's not super obvious. It's a third-person 3D game. You play as Raz, who's trying to uncover kind of what's going on at this summer camp. Raz can run and jump. He also gains some psychic abilities like telekinesis and levitation, invisibility, pyrokinesis. And these powers are kind of gained over time. Did you guys have a favorite power? Austin, did you have a favorite power while you were...
Levitation, for sure. I used that almost all the time so I could move faster.
And jump higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although if you were doing anything up a slope, it was horrible.
Yeah, very true. Mox, I know you didn't play through the whole game, but were there any powers that you got that really stood out as...
No.
Okay. Jerome, do you have any powers that stood out to you?
I'm with Austin. I actually thought levitation was an awesome take on the, most platformers have pretty boring double jump, press the jump button twice. Levitation was just literally rolling.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I thought it was really innovative, and I used it all the time as well.
Yeah, it was super
especially
good.
In one particular level where you do get it, which was actually really fun.
Oh, yeah, that was a great level.
Yeah, super great. You can level up your abilities by finding little collectibles, but you also have to combine those with a purchase collectible, which can also be found on occasion, but it's a lot easier just to buy it. It takes 9 of these weird cards that are floating around, and one of these, I think they're called cores, is what they're called. And you can buy the cores, and you can also find them sometimes on levels.
I don't think you could. I don't think you can find cores, but sometimes you can find an already combined, it's 9 cards in a core.
Oh, maybe
it's
that was
basically just one free level.
You can have 3 abilities mapped at one time. So there's 7, 8 abilities, but you can only map 3 at one time. Each world that you go into has these things that are kind of you collect them similar to how you would collect coins or something. I think they're called figments. They're these little outlines. They're different colors, and they kind of speak to the level, so they're kind of themed. And then there's also baggage, where you have to find a tag, and then you have to match that up with the bag that you find.
Emotional baggage.
Baggage, correct.
So the baggage is all crying.
It is.
To really
what do those give you? Do those help you power up as well, or are they just a collectible to find?
Lore.
Is it
Maybe.
lore?
The cutest little
the
jingle.
lore is
I remember
the
that.
safe.
Oh.
The lore
you're
comes from
right.
the safe. The bags, I think, give you more. So, whenever you collect figments, you get points. If you get 100 points, you get another psi level. I think the bags also give you points.
So they help you level up your powers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Most worlds end in a boss battle. And you can revisit the worlds after beating them as well to kind of finish up the collectibles. Were there any worlds that really like stood out that you're like, oh, this world was like really stood out to me? I really like the design of it. Austin.
My favorite like theme world would be probably the I feel like
aren't these spoilers?
I feel like this should be spoiler stuff. Because like a lot of it's kind of the surprise of getting there and be like, oh yeah.
Okay, we'll save it. We'll save it then. We'll save it.
Yeah.
We'll save it for a little bit. Anything about the gameplay that really stood out? Mox, I know you played just the beginning, but what did you think of the gameplay?
I just don't like it. So Austin early before I played the game, which was yesterday, he was like, only 50% of Steam players have completed the tutorial. And I was like, well, that's weird. And I'm pretty sure that you don't get counted in that unless you actually start the game.
Yeah.
Like if it's just sitting in your inventory and you don't play it, then it doesn't count. And I should have taken that as a sign. And I open the game and I get to this stupid tutorial and I just ate every little bit of it. And I just wanted to stop. But because Austin told me that, I had to finish the tutorial and I did. And then I didn't play anything after that. I was like, oh, I'll just watch like a Let's Play, like someone just playing through the whole game. No, thank you. Just the cutscenes. No, still awful. So I just read the wiki. And that is all I care about this game. In terms of gameplay, what gameplay? I feel like there was just people talking, yelling at me all the time, saying things that has nothing to do with anything while I was just like trying to scramble. And I don't know, like in the tutorial level, you have to like practice your acrobatic abilities and you have to do like going up ropes where you jump and swing and stuff. And I needed like actual depth perception. That was not there. It's so
I agree.
I don't know what it is.
What
is it? What is missing in this game that other games have that I was able to perceive depth in those games, but not this one? I have no idea. But I can't. It's like I only have one eyeball in that game, and I have no idea what to do with it. So
just another stat to like for the people
Please.
who were able to stomach the first level. It was a major drop off to down to 35% of people who finished the second level.
Wow.
Dang.
So a lot of people quit after the first one.
Wow.
Oof.
Or just didn't even make it through the first one.
Jerome, gameplay wise, was there anything that you want to add or anything that really stood out to you?
I mean, keeping in mind that it's a 17-year-old game, I think like it still played remarkably well. Like I think it aged well. I mean, yeah, the platforming can be a bit clunky. What I had the most problem with is actually some of the shooting, like especially the boss fights. Like just the aiming in general, like you're supposed to hold the left trigger and it doesn't really aim, and quite often I end up dying because I didn't really know what to do. And the other thing is just getting lost. Like not knowing what I was supposed to do sometimes. Especially since I often picked up my save after a couple of weeks or months. Sometimes just not really knowing like, oh, this power also can do that, and that's actually how I solved this puzzle, and just kind of like not really knowing what was going around in my surroundings. Gameplay wise, essentially just I really hated that you have to go for the pause menu to go for the map. That feels very clunky and old school in a sense. 'Cause I guess that's an old game, but like having to go through a pause menu, like the start screen with like save, load, and all, and then you have to go a couple tabs to go for the map. And I always look at maps, so I thought that was weird. That was a bit annoying gameplay wise.
Yeah. Austin, what about you? Was there anything gameplay?
What stood out to me was like a lot of the theming was seemed very ahead of its time. Like individual level themes surprised me for like being in a 2005 game, as well as just kind of during the story they mention a few times like mental health and having good mental health, and that's been kind of a recent trend of talking about mental health. But back in 2005, I don't think that was like a really a big thing that people were talking about. So at least in terms of some of the concepts that it goes into and some of the themes, certain levels, I thought it was pretty ahead of its time.
Yeah, Yeah, I can see that. Moving on to visuals, it's all like 3D, right? So it's using like 3D models. The cutscenes are interesting because they're like a mix of cinematic and in-game engine, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. The aesthetic to me like reminds me very much of like has like a very like Tim Burton kind of aesthetic to it.
Ugh, but it's not good. No, I'm interrupting you.
Okay.
Because like
It's very ugly.
Brown.
So the Tim Burton like it fits within his constraints of this world. When he does like the claymation, it looks good. It fits in. It's not overly gross and weird because it's clay. It's obviously clay, and then when it does animation or the a 3D, it doesn't become gross. Don't interrupt me. But this was grungy on purpose and didn't deliver. It was just awful and gross and it gave nothing to me, and I hated it.
It was very ugly in a not appealing way.
Yes. What about the Oogie Boogie Man from Nightmare Before Christmas?
He's not
Mox?
gross though.
Oh my gosh.
I disagree if you think he's gross. He's not gross. Like this game looks gross, but it's like he's also a nasty person.
He's also supposed to be nasty.
Yeah.
True.
Everything in this game was gross and ugly, and there has to be something that's redeemable. There was nothing that was not ugly.
You're saying the
also
lungfish?
The pre-rendered cutscenes age like milk.
Yes, yeah, not very
It looks so bad.
Yeah. So it seems like everyone was not a huge fan of the visuals for this game or the direction of it. I will say this. I'll say this little comment, which I thought was funny. I was playing this game and my girlfriend came into the room and she was like, "Oh, did this game come out like around the same time as Banjo Tooie?" And I was like, "No, it didn't." She's
Burn.
like, "Yeah." I was like, "Dang."
What it reminded me a lot of is like Cartoon Network type of thing, like Rugrats and that sort of thing. That kind of like weird humanoid like cartoonesque imagery. It's not a personal favorite, but I don't know.
I think it's
now
so
that you
funny.
bring that up.
Oh my god, go ahead.
Specifically Cartoon Network, but it just reminded me of like the Butt Ugly Martians, which
Oh my god,
I couldn't watch because they were just so ugly.
Oh, it's an awful show.
And it's so funny you brought up Rugrats because I made a comment and I was like, I swear every single one of the voice actors in this game was on Rugrats, just the way their voices sound.
Well, it's about the same time, right?
It must be. I cannot believe you said Rugrats. That's literally on my list of comments right here.
Moving on to the audio. Sorry, Mox, you have more to say about the visuals?
I'm winded.
Moving on to the audio, it was the soundtrack was composed by Peter McConnell, and he also did Grim Fandango. Yeah, and Day of the Tentacle. But I will say that for me, this is just my own personal opinion, the audio didn't really stick out to me too much. Like it
was unremarkable.
Yes, that's how I feel. Like usually, especially me personally, if I play a game and the audio is, if I really like it, like I will try to like listen to that soundtrack when I'm working or when I'm doing chores or when I'm going for a walk or something. Like if something like really grabs me, I will listen to it a lot. And this game, like it didn't really grab me. Like I didn't have any desire to go listen to the soundtrack at all.
I am so surprised you said Peter McConnell because I listened to the Grim Fandango soundtrack. I love it. I'd recognize his name because it comes up when I play it. I hated this soundtrack. I always give it a chance before I adjust the like levels, of how loud each track is. And it felt like it was way too loud, but also so repetitive. It just became annoying after a while.
Did he do only the soundtrack or did he do like sound effects as well?
I think it was just the score, but I could be wrong. Okay. But I believe it was just the score.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because the first thing that I think of when you say audio in this game is being stuck next to one of those teleport guys. Will stop.
Oh my god. I didn't. Speaking of like sound effect, just like I know it was supposed to be annoying, but in the tutorial level, which is a tutorial and supposed to make me enjoy the game, it's like there was a point where the point of the level was that these kids were screaming very annoyingly at you while you played the game. And I was sitting there thinking, like, who decided this would be in this video? Who was this done?
Gosh. Jerome, anything about the audio that stood out to you? Music or sound
No,
effects wise?
I mean, I've been playing it on and off for like way too big breaks really between, but um, like I mentioned earlier, like when you pair a tag with the cases and the bags, it's like the weirdest, cute little jingle out of nowhere. It's like
Yeah.
it just feels so out of place. I found
Dun,
it cute,
dun,
but it's
dun, dun, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I
It's like
started skipping all those.
Yeah, me too.
you
Towards
slowly
the
start.
end.
It's a reminder. It's like, oh yeah, this is also like a classic video game platform where you just collect stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
It just felt really off compared to the rest. Like I kind of liked it. It was quirky, but like, weird.
We didn't really touch on this in the gameplay part. I forgot to ask, but playing through, did you guys purposely try to like get all the collectibles in the level before moving on? I did not.
No.
Yeah.
I initially
I
tried.
would go like to grab the stuff if I saw it, but there was never a point where I was like, I need to go back
Right.
and get what I missed. Or if something was just too out of reach, it was just like, no, I don't care. I'm moving on.
Especially if there was like some tricky platforming to do. Like the platforming was okay, but it wasn't like amazing that I want to do more of it. Like I didn't go out of my way for those. It was a bit of a collectathon that was a bit pointless in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Moving on to the controls and just interface of the game. I know, Jerome, you already talked about the menu system and the map being a bit clunky. I definitely agree with you there. I had some weird issues with controls where like sometimes it would eat my jump. I ran into that like a few times, which was kind of frustrating. And I wasn't like a big fan of the whole D-pad. I know you have to think like this came out in the original Xbox, so the controls that they didn't have like an L1, R1, right? It was like black and white button, L and R, D-pad, stick, A, B, X, Y. So you have to think about that, but it just seems like, I don't know, maybe there was some better. I'm curious like what the controls are on Psychonauts 2, because I wonder if it's like improved by quite a bit, but it didn't feel that intuitive. I don't know what would have been better, but it seemed like anytime I wanted to change an ability, get an item, or look at something, I was gonna have to go into a menu and it was gonna have to load, and it just took a while.
You had to load the menus?
Yeah, like when I pressed start, it like would take a time, like a second or two.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
What did you play that you didn't have to?
I played it on PC.
Me too.
I didn't have like loading times when I went to the menu, or if I pulled up like my inventory or anything like that. At least not that I remember.
Listen,
I mean,
it's
it was
a
a
humble
half
brag.
second, yeah.
It's not instantaneous.
Yeah, that
it takes time.
Yeah, that was the issue for me. It's not that it takes a long time. It's more that there's this like lag that you're just like, ugh, like why can't it just?
I guess
open
I also
right away?
didn't pause much because there was like nothing useful in the pause menu at all, other than like a couple of times when I was in the camp trying to look around the map. But did you have that as well when you would like pull up your psi abilities and stuff?
The psi abilities, there was just like slight lag, but it was a lot worse when you would press actual start button for me.
Okay.
On Xbox at least. Jerome, I know you already mentioned the map, but I totally agree with you there.
Same with the menu. Like I think it's just also our mindset that is kind of like expecting like newer game, like using the triggers to go through tabs, that sort of thing. Like it took me a while to always remember. I load the menu like, oh yeah, crap, I can't use the trigger. I have to use the D-pad to go left and right. That's like counterproductive with our current mindset, I suppose.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a product of its time. That's us rather than the game, to be honest.
You can't just cut
We've been
it slack. Like you keep
Mox.
cutting it slack just because it's an old game. No, it should stand up.
Well, what they should have done is a port, not just an emulated version of the console, I suppose. They should have
for the PC version?
Well, that, or even like the Game Pass version, I suppose you could do like, an updated port, like something that doesn't, even the UI has the black and white button. That's just
True.
took me a while to remember that, those are the bumpers.
Yeah.
It takes a while, especially I've never had an OG Xbox, so I'm like at first I was like, what the hell is black and white?
Well, even on the PC version, like they hacked in controller support a few years ago, and you can tell that it's very hacked in because a lot of stuff doesn't work consistently. So like in the menus to like go up and down, I can't remember, some stuff you can use the D-pad, some stuff you can use the joystick and not both, which is already pretty bad. if you invert your camera controls,
Oh god.
then when you're going when you're like doing the map, as well as your inventory and psi abilities, it inverts the controls there as well, but only for that axis that you inverted the camera. So it's very bizarre.
What the hell? Okay,
so like you can tell they really hacked the support in.
Yeah. Speaking of like, ports and stuff like that, let's move on to performance a bit. So I played on Xbox. I had a bug on the Milkman level, actually, where you have to, which we'll talk about that later once we get into spoilers.
Spoilers.
But there's a Milkman level, and I ran into a bug where the game would just like completely froze. I had to restart the Xbox. But that was kind of it. But I've heard the PC performance, you had some issues at the beginning, Austin.
Oh my gosh. So I have a G-Sync monitor. So the first thing I do whenever I start up a new game is I turn off V-Sync, because you're not supposed to use them together, at least optimally. If you're playing this on PC, do not turn off V-Sync, because like it just breaks the game. It made it so that climbing on poles didn't work the right way. So like I would have to really just push against a pole for like a few seconds before I could start climbing. And if I went too high on it, Raz would just drop off. He would just be like, nope, peace. And he would just fall off so I was like, how can I get to the top of poles? At the end of the first level, not at the end of the first level, it was like at a midpoint, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to get through a door, and you this is probably showing on screen right now, of me struggling, trying to figure out how to get through this door. You're supposed to raise a flag on the pole. And if you have V-Sync turned off, then assuming you can even get on the pole, the flag will not move with you. So I was trying to figure out what was going on, how to open this door. I reloaded in, the door would be open and it would immediately close. I restarted the game thinking something bugged out.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I tried turning on V-Sync and I could raise the flag and get inside and continue on. So
little fun fact.
That was, yeah, little fun fact. There's also, I encountered weird issues with like tutorial messages where they would show up late, or like sometimes like way late. Like I'd be just in the middle of doing something and a tutorial message that was clearly supposed to show up like in the previous level just suddenly popped up like, hey, that thing that you grabbed, here's how that works.
What? It's bizarre.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. And in fact, I think I ended up getting that with like the first item that you're supposed to use. They put it in your hand, and I didn't get like the note of the tutorial about using your inventory.
You're right.
So I was, yeah. So like I hit the point where I needed to use it, and I was like,
how do I do this?
Where's my item?
Yeah.
I tried looking in my start menu. It wasn't there. Like there's no inventory in the start menu. You have to just know to push a direction on the D-pad to open up your inventory and like put it in your hand and then do the interact. Oh my god.
Interact with Y button.
I had to Google that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not A button.
Yeah.
That was weird, yeah.
Yeah.
There were a few things that I was like, where is this? Or how am I supposed to do this? And I would have to Google, and top result would be a bunch of people having the same issue of just like, I have no idea. Well, like I think I broke the game. They're like, no, it's just something in your inventory that they haven't told you to really go look at yet.
Gosh. But Mox, you played the beginning on PC, and Jerome, have you been playing on PC or Xbox?
So I did both, actually. I have a history at that point, because I first tried it on PC about almost 10 years ago. I think it was 2014 or something like that. And I bought it off Steam. I played the first level, so the first hour pretty much. And then the next time I tried booting it up, my save had been corrupted.
Oh
So
my god.
I actually played the first level
And you
twice.
went back. Oh.
Well, no, I went back 10 years later, mind you.
Oh, okay.
Still, goodness.
Yeah. So essentially, when Psychonauts 2 came out, I pre-downloaded it on my Xbox for Game Pass, and I thought, oh wow, it waits because it's pre-downloading before the game was released. I'll check out the first one. But yeah, so the very first time I tried, I actually got a corrupted save, which is not a good start.
Wow.
No, yeah, not great.
My time around on Xbox, however, I haven't really had any major bugs.
Okay.
Nothing that was game breaking, really. But
yeah, that's good at least. Mox, you didn't have. I assume you started with VSync on, or you did you must have done default settings or something.
Well, they don't let you change the settings when you start up the game, so there's no subtitles. So that's what I had to wait for the tutorial to get through until I could open the menu and turn on subtitles.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not impaired with my hearing, but I just like reading the words because then they'll say things that I might have missed because I wasn't paying attention or chose not to listen. But I just I hated everything about this game, and I can't believe it makes you get through the tutorial just to turn on, your subtitles. And I had the same thing that Austin had with the item that's in your hand. Where does it go? How do you open your inventory? And it is, and so I open the menu so I can see the list of buttons, the keybinds, and the way the text is laid out in this game. I thought it was I because that makes sense. I is inventory. No, it's 1. But it looks like an I. I had to Google that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All of the the buttons, when they say, "Oh, press this key," it's like, is that a button that you're trying to tell me to push? I don't know. I can't even read it. I was so upset. Anyway, sorry.
Jeez. All right, I'm gonna throw on the spoilers tag. We're gonna talk about the story and then also our favorite worlds. Because that's a little spoilery as well. But there's not. It's not like a really big story.
Yes, it is. That's the only thing I know about this game.
Oh my gosh! So you
this story can be summed up in 2 sentences.
Yeah. You sneak into a summer camp after you fled from a circus. You then they agree that you can stay until they can take you to your parents.
Until your dad comes.
You do a basic training course. You pass with flying colors. So then they want to spend more time with you, and you do a bunch of levels, and eventually you realize, oh, something's going on, because you see this vision of someone's brain being stolen, and then you're like, what's happening? And then, oh no, only the kids can save it. And so you and your girlfriend Lily decide Raz ends up saving these brains from this weird dentist named Dr. Loboto. Dr. Loboto.
Loboto, yeah.
And it turns out he got Coach's brain as well. And Coach was converted to a bad guy by Dr. Loboto. He makes this crazy tank. Your brain gets combined in the tank with the Coach's. You have this crazy level because of that. And then you save the day, and then you're officially a Psychonaut. That's kind of it, right?
Yeah.
That's the story.
And you kiss your girlfriend.
Yep. Where things get more interesting and where we kind of really wanted to delve into the spoilers is the individual levels.
Yes.
That's where a lot of the flavor of the game comes from.
The levels,
absolutely, yeah.
The levels are... what's really cool about how the levels, most of them start is you throw this, weird door thing that allows you to go into their brain. And so you're, into their mind. You're in these, different people's mind. You throw that door on, then you go into the mind, and that's the level that you're doing. And so because of that, and because all the characters that you go into are so different, the levels are very different. At least the theming of them. Austin, what's a world that stood out to you, or one that you would say is a few that were good levels that you really enjoyed? And what's at least one that you didn't like? Mm-hmm.
Sure. Top 3 were the disco pinball level where you get the levitation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Godzilla level.
Yeah.
Which wasn't super fun to play, but the theming of it was just very spot on.
Agree.
And I don't think everyone in America was getting super on board with kaiju at that point. So that it surprised me. Goggalore was just a great name for and the guy who kept talking to you from the town, he had the perfect voice for it. And what was the bull level? I didn't have a ton of fun playing it, but visually that level
pretty.
Looked really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And I'll give a runner up to the board game level.
Oh my gosh.
Level I hated the most, the level where I was just done, where I was I hate that. I really riding the line between I hate this game and I really don't like this game is the Milkman level.
Milkman!
Oh my god.
So explain it, because I read the spoilers for it, and it seems like a very interesting level.
No.
You probably would have liked it.
Okay.
You go
Go
into
on.
this milkman's head,
Mm-hmm.
and the world
you
is like
explain? Okay.
like an MC Escher type painting, kind of,
Mhm.
with perspectives.
Or maybe like Dolly.
Yeah.
The gravity is
Yeah.
like unstable. It changes on a whim.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is
All
not so much that. It's more like it's not flat. So like you jump on the wall and then the camera shifts essentially.
What was your-
not so much gravity? It's
Yeah.
weird mechanic, I guess.
What was your biggest frustration with it, Austin? Was it the item part?
So there's everything looks very similar. So you have to do like a lot of walking back and forth. At some point, I finally realized I could go inside the houses
Mhm.
as well as open up the cars, and there's like stuff that you need in those. Then dealing with the items, like the first item you get there's the stop sign. You just pick it up off the ground, and then I died at some point, and I didn't have it in my hand anymore. And at this point, you haven't really been using the inventory except for the button that you need early on. Like the inventory's gone mostly unused,
Mhm.
and so I had no idea. They didn't really make like a big deal out of it when I picked it up. Like, hey, you got an item.
Yep.
It was just like, it just went in my hand. So I had to go look it up. Like, the item is gone. It's no longer in the spot where it was. Did I break my game? Like, no, it's in your inventory. I was like, I forgot. There's an inventory in this game.
That grows. Like, you get pages of it eventually.
This level in particular is just like, hey, you have an inventory and you are going to learn to use it now because they have gajillions of items in this level. And the puzzles are not very good or satisfying.
No.
It's just back and forth.
The combat
fetch
in it.
quest.
Also, you forget.
Yeah, it's a back and forth fetch quest that doesn't always make sense.
And
you. Yep.
You need the cobweb thing. Don't forget that.
Yes. You need to buy the cobweb duster, which costs 800 arrowheads. At this point, I've been grabbing every arrowhead I can find, and I have about 100. So I go in, I do most of the level, hit a point where it's like, I literally can't progress unless I get this cobweb duster, which is pitched to you as something that's just for like getting extra collectibles.
Yes.
So now I gotta leave the level, go get the dowsing rod, and go grind for arrowheads, which costs money, so you have to already have money for... Oh my god. Okay, so I come back.
Well,
go ahead.
We need to explain the dowsing rod thing, because it's not just like...
Sure.
You have to... This thing like will glow a certain color, and this like little meter goes up, and that's how you know you're close to like a significant number of these, like, this currency. And I think you get 50, I want to say, or 30 per each one you find.
It's some amount that's bigger, a lot bigger than your regular arrowheads, but it's still too many to be fun.
Maybe I
grind for them.
Yeah, maybe I was doing this incorrectly, but I noticed that I had to like spam Y button really fast.
Yep.
Yes.
And it
you
hurts.
have to do that to pick them up anyway.
It hurts after a while.
You have to get right in a certain spot in order to even pick up an arrowhead.
Because you're spamming the button so hard, and you have to make sure that the rod is like in the right spot. So you're like moving around, spamming Y, like please, you know, and oh, here you go. Here's 30 of your 800 that you need. Ugh.
Meanwhile, you pick up a signal for a new one, and Raz is like, looks like there aren't any arrowheads around here. Huh? Yeah. Shut up, Raz.
Man, they need to cast you for Psychonauts 3. Jeez.
Dude. So you go back in the level, clear the cobweb. All of a sudden, like, 2 different times you're in the middle of you're about to solve a puzzle, and they're like, oh, actually, the ground's going to open up, and you're going to fight this boss that has no context.
Twice.
Who is this guy? We don't know. It's just, there you go, fight this boss. Do it again.
Twice, though.
Twice.
Oh, God.
And then the final boss of the whole level just was a real pain in the butt.
Yeah.
For me, anyways. That level really drove me nuts. That seems to be the spot where people either go, I really don't like this game, or I really like this game. Because in our Discord, we had some other people who were like, oh, I loved it because of this, and this. And
yeah.
I've not found anybody with middling opinions on the Milkman level.
Jerome, what did you think? Like, what's one of your favorite levels and one of your least favorite?
The disco level, what that was called, like the one where you get the levitation. That was it was just like really, really fun. Like really, quirky, cheerful. I don't know, like a feel good
It's
sort
like
of.
a big party.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, it's just like really feel good sort of platforming sort of thing. Like even though some of it is a bit clunky, it was just like really entertaining and also completely wacky. So it was kind of really really fun. Like I don't think I've played anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
The Godzilla level was quite fun as well.
Oh yeah, Godzilla's good.
Yeah, one that I really didn't like was the underwater one, the one with the lungfish. That was that's kind of annoying because you have to walk alongside with the air bubble, and quite often you just end up getting trapped behind something, and then you die because the bubble keeps moving.
And it goes back to Mox's point of the depth perception thing. That level really suffers from it. Yeah,
especially because color-wise as well, there's not a lot of contrast because it's all underwater, so everything is dark. So you have like murky browns and dark blues, and it's just kind of hard to tell what's a ruin, what's a coral, and
yeah.
So I wasn't a big fan of that, especially that boss was very annoying.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say about the Milkman level, since actually I didn't finish the game. That's the last level that I've played till. I didn't hate it. It was mainly like the back and forth that bothered me. Like the inventory and all is not a huge bother for me, and I thought it was kind of quirky again. I like the secret agent kind of conspiracy thing was fun, but I agree with Austin. It's a bit samey, and the back and forth that's just boring.
Yeah.
But the actual level, I like the weird setup, right? The Escher-esque architecture. That was fun.
Yeah. For me, the board game level was my favorite. I loved like having to get the pieces. Like, oh, they need this item to become like a piece on the game board, and then you had to move them around, and there was like 3 different perspectives. Like you could be like outside of the board game, there was stuff to do, then on top of the board game, and then you could go like even deeper, like another level deeper in the board game. And I just thought that one was really, really fun, and I really loved the theme of it. I was not a fan of the Meat Circus level. I think it's weird that they put such a hard level at the end of the, like, it makes sense, like, oh, it's the end, so it needs to be a little difficult, sure. But the ramp up compared to all the other levels was just out of nowhere. It's like, oh, now there's a weird time mechanic where I have to, like, this water's rising and I have to do all this platforming.
Or protecting the kid Coach Oleander. Oh my god.
It was awful. Terrible. Oh my gosh. So bad. Mox, I won't ask you because I know you only really dabbled in the tutorial, but I think you would have liked the board game level. I will say that.
It looked fun. I read the spoilers of it.
Yeah.
In it's Napoleon. It's kind of.
All right, I'm turning off the spoilers tag. It's time to give our personal takes. And Mox, I know you didn't finish the game, but I do want you to be able to say, your bit about playing the beginning.
You could never stop me saying my
Whoa!
bit.
Okay, please, you have the floor.
I fought through, however long I played. I'm going to look it up. How long did I play this stupid game? To get through the, what's it called? The tutorial. And what's funny is I sort all of my games in my Steam based on like what they are or what I think of them. And I had originally sorted Psychonauts into a category called Don't Want. So I should have guessed it. I've played this game 93 minutes. That counts.
Okay.
To rate it. That was just getting through the tutorial, and then I went back in to say maybe I'll try doing one more thing, and then I was like, no, I hate this. I'm not forcing myself to not have fun. There's just so much to hate about it. And I feel bad because people worked hard on this game and tried to make it, and they need to make money or whatever. And it sounds like they did. Good for them. But just like, who decided that there should be kids screaming at you and that's fun? I don't understand. Or that the tutorial level has to be 93 minutes long and that you can't, until you get to the end of it, turn on subtitles. Or that they run out of the automated voice statements and they're pinging all of the time, and so you just hear the same thing over and over again. And even when they talk, like they're having a cutscene, they just never say anything that's important.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what is even this cutscene about, because there's just so much garbage. I'm waiting for it to be interesting, and then it never gets interesting. So then I just escape. I don't care. Like, I love stories in games, and this didn't give me anything. And there were just so many things that were hard to like control, and the depth perception thing that I talked about.
Right.
And the fact that I had to like spam the pickup button for all of those little arrowheads because you had to be in a very precise position to pick them up. I just don't understand how this game got past QA. I don't even know. And I give it a 1 because it is a game that was made, but the story is like not interesting. And why did the voice actors say the same things over and over again? And just it's painful.
Don't
I
worry.
don't want to have pain playing a game.
Don't worry, Jerome. This isn't the first one Mox has ever given, and it won't be the last. I can promise you that.
Never mind. Everybody entitled to an opinion.
Thank you. I am entitled to my opinion.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Jerome, what did you think overall? Like, how you feeling?
It's a difficult thing in a way, because as a game itself, if it weren't for like the themes, the setting, and the characters, I wouldn't think it's a good game. But I don't think it's worth playing just because, it's a quirky platformer or something like that. It's more like, it's quite unique. It's I haven't played anything like that is, like, here I am in my mid-30s still enjoying something that I would have, like, if I were a teenager. Because it's kind of like I don't know, it's quirky is the best description I could have for it, honestly. It's very unique in terms of storyline. The levels are completely crazy. It's quite unique. If you compare to something like, like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro or the sort of thing that were popular platformers at the same time, it's not comparable to that. So I don't know what it is comparable to, especially for at that time. So I don't know. I'd probably go with like a 7.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Let me ask you this.
It's not a good game. It's a game worth. It's a curiosity that's worth playing.
Yeah. Do you plan on finishing it? Do you think you'll ever finish it?
Probably not, but I'm planning on playing the second one.
Okay.
Give it a 7. You're not even gonna finish it.
Hey, Mox, everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
I wasn't gonna finish Inscription, but I gave that an 8.
Oh wow.
Inscription. If you haven't played Inscription, go play it. Austin.
It was excellent.
Give us your take, sir.
Okay, so I had started this before, and much like most of the internet, I had finished the tutorial and then quit. Because I really did not like it or see the appeal. Going through it, it was always something that I was like, I'll come back someday and play through that, but I really don't want to. But someday I will, because I probably should. So playing through it here, I see why so many people quit after the tutorial.
Yep.
But I think the tutorial is like, it is not a good introduction to the game at all. Like, at all. In terms of theming the level, cutscenes, the story that you've gotten up to that point, the powers that you have. Immediately after, they're like, hey, here's all these collectibles that get you very little reward, and it's a lot of effort to deal with. The whole store is awful. Like,
yeah,
the store just shouldn't even exist.
True.
When you get cards, it's like, hey, now I have an obligation to go to the store, then go to another location to turn this in, and then I get a level out of 10 that I need to actually like get something of any significance, and which you don't even know if it's going to be something significant, right? A lot of the stuff that's pitched as optional suddenly becomes mandatory later in the game, which is just like
like the cobweb thingy.
The cobweb duster, as well as a couple of your psi abilities that you gain from leveling up.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. The platforming is not great. It's not awful. Like you said, the depth perception wasn't very good. The grinding worked surprisingly well. I mean, they had other games up until then to look at, like Sonic Adventure and stuff like that.
Yeah, the grinding was cool.
Right,
Sonic Adventure 2.
We're talking about the grinding on the rails, not the grind for the money, right?
Yeah. The grinding worked pretty well, and generally the platforming wasn't super hard, even if it didn't feel great. Combat, I did not like at all. I hated fighting everything.
It was bad.
Yeah. Especially the boss.
Especially bosses. Yep. There would be a lot of times where I would be fighting a boss and it'd be like, I think I'm supposed to do this, and it wouldn't work. So I'd go, okay, let me try something else. And eventually, I would run out of things to try, and I'd have to go look it up, and they'd go, oh, do the thing that you tried first. It just didn't work that time. Like, that feels awful. But I will say the theming of some of the levels really stood out to me. Like, there were some really unique things that I got to see. The bugs were kind of killer. It's a very ugly looking game.
So ugly.
And I think for my time playing it, and if it like as it stands as a game today, I would give this like a 5, both because of a lot of the not fun parts and the bugs that I experienced. The points that it gets are really from the originality of a lot of the levels, and I think if this were remade to where they could like polish up a lot of the very, very rough edges, then that could probably take it up to like a 7 or maybe even like a low 8 for me.
Wow.
Like assuming you didn't change like the dialogue or anything. If you updated the dialogue as well, yeah, it could probably be an 8. But yeah, as it is now, it's a 5 for me. I did not. I have zero desire to play Psychonauts 2 after somebody in the Discord told me it's basically more of Psychonauts 1.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't sell it.
I'm going to open up my take by saying this game is in desperate need of a remake, I think. It has weird camera issues, the tutorial's too long, the controls are kind of weird, the way that the menu system works, all of it. I think it would do really well with like a nice remake. But it's not going to fix that some of the levels were kind of garbage. Like the Milkman level, not a fan, but maybe they can expand, maybe they can make the board game level longer and make the Milkman level shorter. That would
they'll make you your own game.
that would be my suggestion. I do agree with Austin that it is really unique, and that is kind of like a nice thing to see. Like, oh,
no, that's what Jerome said.
There's not. Oh, Jerome also said
all
that.
it was about.
Yes. But I think that for me, that made it more appealing to me.
Ugh.
I agree that the bosses were kind of just not fun to fight as well. But overall, I think I'm kind of aligned with Austin on this as well. 5 out of 10 on as you know, my own personal opinion. 5 out of 10. It's a game that was released and they did something special, and it had like some people really like this game, just like some people really like Banjo-Tooie, and we played it recently and we were not big fans of it. But I don't know. It wasn't. I didn't have that much fun playing this game, and I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. Typically, when you're playing a video game, is you want to have fun, and this seems like a game that you would play and would want to experience fun, and I was not having that much fun. Felt like work, especially the Milkman level. That felt a lot like work. But after the Milkman level, we get to the bull and the other stuff, a lot better.
Don't forget the theater.
And, I don't want to talk about this. No, we're not going to talk about that one either. Maybe less of that level too. Man, I kind of forgot about that. Now I'm like, is 5 too high?
And I feel like with the levels like that, especially like the theater, it feels like they probably either ran out of time or just like had more ideas for it that they just didn't get to implement, right?
Yeah, it could be.
It has to be. I feel like they could fix
there was a lot of
where they actually go.
I think I remember reading there was like a lot of crunch with this game.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a little dive in
some things.
What, Jerome?
That might explain some of the things, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a little dive in our take on Psychonauts. If you enjoyed hearing us discuss Psychonauts and want to join us for the next Video Game Club episode, stay put, because our vote just ended, and it was between Bug Snacks, Amori, and Return of the Obra Dinn. And the winner is Amori.
Yay!
So typically,
well, they all would have been good.
We would play this in 2 episodes, but I'm going to be gone on a work trip, and so I will not be here for our next episode, which would be on the 22nd of May. And so instead of having 2 episodes about Omori, we will just have 1. It may be a bit longer, but it will be on June 5th. Gosh, June? That's wild. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. It'll be June 5th at 2 Eastern. And if you can't make the live session again, don't worry. It'll be up on YouTube and all podcast services. Austin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And Mox, I know you've been really busy, but thank you for at least playing 90 minutes and giving us your hot take.
Thank you. I deserve to give my hot take because I did play a whole 90 minutes.
Very true. And Jerome, thank you for agreeing to join us last minute, because I remember you talking about Psychonauts with me whenever Psychonauts 2 came out, and I just wanted to get your opinions, and it's nice to...
Thanks for having me. I wish I had finished the game, because now I'm a bit fuzzy on what I remember, and hearing your scores, I'm saying, like, my 7 might be way too overkill from what I remember, so maybe next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun.
Nice. And I'm glad you had a good time. I'm Tyler. This was Video Game Club episode 48, Psychonauts, and we're out.